Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Cannabis Review. I'm delighted to be joined in this episode by Nahúm Felipe Ospina, who's the Director of Business Development at Colombian Organics. How are you keeping today, Nahúm?
Hello, Owen. How are you doing?
Very well, mate. Thank you very much for taking your time to do this.
No, thank you for the invitation.
Can you maybe give everybody a little overview of your history in the cannabis industry to date and your position at Colombian Organics?
Yeah, right now I've been working in the cannabis industry for 5 years. I've been working in commercial, in projects, in the production, in extraction. But right now I'm making the commercial part since like 3, 4 years ago, working in this difficult industry that's not easy, and especially here in Colombia because you have all the laws, you have the government, and everything else. But my experience goes especially to commercialize and the marketing, advertising of the cannabis industry, and of course helping all the companies to sell their products, airway, flowers, extractions, whatever they have.
Okay, very interesting. First topic I wanted to jump on was basically an overview of Colombia. Can you maybe give everybody? I know it was medical in 2016, industrial in 2019, and then potentially an adult use market now in 2023. Can you maybe tell everybody how expansive is the medical program currently, and do you know a rough number of patients that are on it?
Yeah, right now the problem with the medical programs is that it's not really together. They are not working really together with the companies and the government and the health companies here. The access is still really difficult to the patients. They need a long process. It's really bureaucratic for that reason. So medical cannabis right now in Colombia is specialized in cosmetics and other kind of products that are not like medical, like the pharmaceutical products we were waiting for. Obviously, especially for the technology we have here, also we don't have like all the staff and all the people for the kind of products that we need for pharmaceutical product to the medical patients. Talking about the industrial hemp, for example, we don't have so developed the market for these kind of products because we don't have the extensions in Colombia. We have like all the land and it's really good, and Colombia has really good conditions all year around. But the problem is the extensions and the machinery that you need for this extraction for the hemp. That is really different from the USA that they have so big volume of this hemp production. And right now that you tell it, last week we lost the chance to have the approval of the adult use in Colombia because in the Congress it didn't pass. It didn't pass the bill from the Congress. We just missed it for 5 votes of the Congress, but they have time this year. They are going to present it again, so maybe next year we have the good news for the adult use in Colombia.
Okay, and can you tell me what makes Colombian Organics so special in the expertise areas that they have?
Yeah, the best part from Colombia is the experience that we have in flowers. That we have in flowers and genetics. We have really good experience because we will be working with flowers like 70 years ago, when we started from different kind of flowers like roses, sunflowers, tulipans, those kind of flowers, and all that experience were translated to the cannabis industry, and we have these low cost jobs for the people. It's really low cost. It's really good for us. The land is really good. It's really fertile for us. The procedures, we are used to agricultural procedures, but the only thing that we are missing right now is like the company overview or the company. Uh, we see like farmers farming, but not a company itself, a big enterprise. We need to understand as farmers, as a company.
Okay, you see a lot of talk in Europe, and I'm sure a lot of investors talking about Colombia are going to be a future supplier for the European side of the industry. Is it the lack of technological equipment is the thing that's hindering large scale export from Colombia?
Yeah, kind of the lack of technology has always, because we are always talking about Colombia and Latin America has the raw material suppliers, but that's what we need to transform here. We need to focus on high technology products, added value products, not just the raw material. What's happening right now? We are seeing in Europe has the raw material in the case of dry flower, for example, that is just the first step in the process of the cultivation, but what's happening right now, we are just stopping in that time of the moment, the same that happened with coffee. With coffee, a couple of years were like just making raw material and exporting the raw material to bring back a final product. That's what we need to do with the cannabis, but right now we not too many years making the final product here, but the lack of technology is something that is really difficult here. And also the certifications. I told you in conversations before that the certifications, it's really important for us because we are a company, or we are a country from farmers. Farmers don't have they don't not used to work with big companies, big procedures, big enterprises, so they don't understand this about the certification. If you talk with some farmers here about GACP, they don't even know. And imagine that we need to make some final products with the GMP, for example. They don't know what is GMP and they don't know what it means. That's part of the problem also.
And we discussed before, I think it's Trulieve are the only company with the GMP certification. Is it in Colombia? The rest are, the model is to export to somewhere like Malta, and then that facility in Malta will have EU GMP certification.
Exactly. That's the only solution that we have right now. There's only one company here with the GMP, and they even had to bring someone from Germany to get that certification, and that's a big problem, and that says a lot from a country that it's supposed that is specializing in the cannabis industry, that we don't have GMP certifications here. Yeah. What are making the other companies? They get the GACP certification from national companies, from national institutes, and take it abroad to Malta, Portugal, where they transform into GMP.
And is there a certain certification that's required for export into the United States and Canada?
Right now, not, because the USA market is just opening the doors to the Latin American market. They are just waiting. They're just asking for the total panel, the quality panel of the potency, for example, heavy metal, pesticides, microbiology, all that panel of the laboratory. But they are not asking right now for certifications. Canada, it's a difficult country, but then they are just asking for GACP. It's the minimum that you must.
Okay. I saw recently one of your posts, and it was a good question that I wanted to ask you. One of the kind of successful countries in Latin and South America has been Uruguay so far. Can you tell me what Colombia can learn from the Uruguayan model?
Yeah, I think I tell it in the post, but it's they work really close with the institute in Uruguay. Uruguay is a 3 million population country, so it's really easy to them to work with the companies really close with the institute, with the National Institute for Seeds, with the National Institute that is regulating right now the cannabis, and that's missing here. We don't have that relation so close with regulators. For example, we have many institutes here. We have many institutes that it's in charge of the procedures, and you need to make a procedure here, a procedure in another institute, but they are not connected between them. So it's really difficult, this connection with the institutes of the government. I think that's one, and the other one is that they specialize in the first moment or in the first year understanding the needs of the market. They really understood that since the first moment. And that implies, for example, that they brought the genetics from Switzerland, from Europe, and they are cultivating those genetics. Why? Because they understood that if you wanna export to Europe, you need the genetics from Europe. You need the genetics that you like from Europe. So that's really good point from to learn from Uruguay.
And when it comes to Colombia, on the extraction side of things, we obviously know that you guys are world class at the farming and cultivation side of things. How many extraction facilities exist in Colombia, and do they excel at the same level as the cultivation?
They are not at the same level of the cultivation. You're missing a lot of companies making extraction here. But what happens, for example, the cost of extraction here is really high. It's really, really high because of the volume, because of the technology, for example, because of the relationship between the companies, as I told you. More or less, right now that I can remember, maybe more than 400 license for extraction, 400 license for extraction. But from those 400, just operating, really, really operating, no more than 50 companies. So it's really difficult for the extraction companies here because the same, the volume is not really good for the expensive that it represent to extract here, different from the USA. From the USA you have big company, a big factory making extraction because they have a lot of hemp for that extraction. The extraction, for example, here, the full spectrum or broad spectrum is more expensive here, even if the flower is cheaper, but the process of the extraction is really expensive.
Okay, and the company you work for, Colombian Organics, you have more than 25 years experience in this sector. Can you maybe explain what sets up Colombian Organics differently from the other companies that are in Colombia and what the future ambitions for the company may be?
I can resume it. I can resume it really well in two words: genetics on flowers. The experience in flowers from the company, because this is a familiar company, and the family has been working with flowers from 50 years ago, from a recognized company here in Bogota, in Colombia. But genetics is like the main point for them because they specialize in making that pheno hunting, taking the best genetics to the cultivation, taking the best procedures for this reproduction of the genetics, and that's why we have right now seeds in UK, in Thailand, soon in Switzerland, United States. We have also the seeds, and soon in Argentina for the same. So that's why we know, or we are recognized in Europe and in the market because of the experience and the trustable that is the company working with genetics, because it's not easy working with genetics because it's not the final product. It's a product that you are going to have after the cultivation. But the trust that the companies, that the owners of the company have been making with this company, with all the commercial fairs, it's really good, and people trust on them and in the experience from the company.
And when it comes to the political overview in Colombia, we see around the world that it's generally the democratic side of the politics are leaning towards an adult use market, and the conservatives are more one just a medical market. Is that the same in Colombia?
Yeah, it happens the same in some ways. That's why last week we lost the opportunity to regulate the adult use because of the conservative party. They were saying like, no, we deny that option because they have all these kind of tops that it's not for the cannabis industry. But in one way or another, the world needs the regulation of this plant. It's more the benefits than the bad when you make it, and results show it. Canada is a good example. Uruguay is the best example, for example. It's not perfect, but it's better than having a black market on the streets with the kids, with all the bad and the negative part of the black market in the cannabis industry.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know you're a very busy man. So, last question before I let you go. What is the top two things that you look forward to seeing over the next couple of years happen in Colombia?
The first thing is that the farmers understand that they are working with companies internationally, that they need to understand, they need to see themselves as enterprises, big companies with procedures, with good protections. And the second one, understand the market. if you don't understand the market, you could have the best production plans and the best production projects, but it's useful if you don't have the market, you know.
Okay, very interesting. Nahúm, I know you're a very busy man, so I'm going to let you go. So thank you very much for taking your time today.
Oh, thank you to you, and have a good day and good podcasting.
Thank you very much. Until next episode, everybody.